So this fear, this black fear, or this black peril, right, led to the passing of strict anti-vagrancy laws, right, throughout the Americas, in the United States, in Latin America, throughout the Caribbean, particularly in those areas that were still colonies of France or of Spain. And a real, even harsh, the institution of slavery became even harsher, right? In the areas that continued to have the institution of slavery throughout the Americas, in response to, right, this radical possibility of freedom that Haiti represented throughout the 19th century. So immediately after the Haitian Revolution and the Declaration of Independence in 1804, the world powers refused to recognize Haiti as a sovereign nation, right? The United States actually did not recognize Haiti as a nation until 1862, right? Just before the abolition of slavery in the United States. And the world powers, the European powers as well as the United States, established an embargo against Haiti to prevent Haiti from establishing trade ties with any of the other powerful economic nations, right? With the other nations with a powerful economy. France imposed on Haiti, forced Haiti to pay 150 million francs as indemnity, right? Basically making the new free Haitian people have to pay France for having made themselves independent and for having abolished slavery, you know, in Haiti. So we can see that from the beginning, right? Haiti had all of these things against it, right? You have numerous nations refusing to recognize the nation. You have numerous nations refusing to trade with Haiti. You have numerous nations that passed laws preventing any ships from Haiti or preventing any citizens of Haiti from landing, right, in their country. And so we see this sort of cordon sanitaire, right? This sort of attempt to contain, right, the radical possibility that Haiti represented in the 19th century. And you see this throughout the Americas, and you see it in the transatlantic world as well. You see the effects of it here in Oregon, right? In the history of the state of Oregon, right? With the establishment of racial exclusion laws, you know, that in many ways were a direct response to the possibility that Haiti presented, as a nation where people could be free and be property owners instead of being property themselves. We know that in 1823, the United States, President Monroe declares the Monroe Doctrine, right, which essentially declares that America is for the Americans, meaning that the continent, the entire continent, right, is the domain of the United States, essentially. The United States wanted to prevent any European powers, you know, from reestablishing control over Haiti or any other lands, you know? And wanted to prevent the newly independent Latin American nations as well from turning to countries like England and other countries for economic support and political support for their independent nations. That was essentially the idea behind the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine is known as being the justification for the United States' numerous military interventions in the hemisphere, right? In Latin America, in the Caribbean. In the early 20th century, President Roosevelt, right, declares his what's known as the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, essentially saying that the United States has the right to intervene militarily throughout the hemisphere to protect its own economic and political interests, right? Or to help stabilize, you know, political situations. And so that was in the early 20th century. And then you have, from 1915 to 1934, US military occupation of Haiti. Right? And that military occupation was characterized by military rule, very brutal, very brutal repression of leftist parties, of the Communist Party in particular, during the US occupation from 1915 to 1934. The US imposed as well through economic measures that were forced by the US military presence, an economy of monoculture, right? So an economy that was basically dependent on the production of coffee only for export. So thus transforming an economy that had been based in small farming. And also other measures to basically establish the United States' political and economic control of the island, right? During this time, the resistance on the island to the US occupation and the different measures that the United States was imposing, the resistance to that was vibrant and powerful and international, right? So we can see, for example, in the African American press in the United States, numerous condemnations of the United States' military presence in Haiti, as well as a real attention to the racist nature of the United States' military occupation of Haiti, right? This coming from the African American press in the United States. So that resistance was international, it was Pan-African, in the sense that it involved the African diaspora throughout the hemisphere of the Americas, and it was vibrant. It was vibrant, and many people were forced into exile, right, during the years of the US occupation, and some returned and some did not. So that's the US occupation, 1915 to 1934. The United States helps the dictator Francois Duvalier to come to power in 1957. He was in power from 1957 to 1971. His regime was extremely brutal. He established the Tonton Macoutes, right? The sort of secret military force that was that basically disappeared numerous people, massacred numerous people, and sowed terror, right, throughout the island. He was known as Papa Doc, no? When he passed, his son, Baby Doc, Jean-Claude, came to power. He was in power from 1971 to 1986. Both regimes were supported by the United States government with economic aid, with political aid, in the sense that the United States helped legitimize, the Duvalier regimes helped legitimize those political regimes. The United States provided military assistance. The United States basically helped Duvalier hide how much money he was stealing from the country during his entire regime. So we have, similar to what was occurring throughout the hemisphere at the time, right? Direct US support, economic and military support for a brutal dictatorship, right? A series of brutal dictatorships. Jean-Claude, Baby Doc, was ousted by popular mobilization in 1986. And since the 80s, what we have seen then in Haiti is basically aggressive US-led, but not entirely US-led always. Also, France has had a role in this, certainly. But aggressive measures, efforts to establish different kinds of economic neoliberal reforms on the island, right? These include moving, like I said before, moving away from subsistence farming, not even to plantations though, but to the establishment of light industry, sweatshop, otherwise known as sweatshops, right? Established on the island. The elimination of tariffs on US imports to Haiti. So, for example, Haiti until the 1980s produced its own rice. After the United States basically encouraged / forced Haiti to remove those tariffs, the majority of Haiti's rice was coming from the United States. So we can see the effects of these kinds of neoliberal reforms on the economy and on basically the underdevelopment of the Haitian economy.